With these guys being in town, how did this kind of come about?
Well, they were just coming through Florida, back home to Indiana, and Blake Allen has been a long-time coach inside this program through a lot of great years, and I'm glad he could bring his DePauw team through here and take a look at the facility and just be around us while we're training.
What are your initial impressions of this Tennessee team coming in here this weekend?
They're not initial. I mean, I've been watching them. Really good. But, that's not like a surprise to me because, watching them last year and understanding the talent they had on their team last year and just watching it, you can recoup it. I think a lot of times your best recruits are the ones that come back to school, and they've kept some kids that are very valuable to that program. And Tony is he's no surprise either. And I think anyone who's spent 5 minutes around Tony knows what type of coach he is, but what type of worker he is. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. And, you could tell last year, even during his time, the program was growing. Every program he's ever been around, whether it be Missouri or Texas Christian or Arkansas, look what he's left behind, a really good team. So it's not a surprise he's got one right now.
What's impressed you about this lineup the last week or so, the way they've been able to put really quality at-bats together?
Well, I guess the consistency. I mean, every week is different. It favored us in some ways that we were able to see some right-handed pitching in some ways, and other times it hasn't mattered. We've done damage against left-handed pitching too, but those come in small pockets. I know what hitting is. It's cyclical, and at any time, it can go the other way. But I just think the consistency of leading up to those moments, once they get in the moments, is the consistency of holding on to an approach mentally, being able to mature enough not to walk away from it because you saw a tough pitch. I think that's most of hitting. It's the skill itself physically, but it's more about the mental abilities to stay in the moment and stay in an at-bat, even though you may not be in that bat 2 of those 5, 6 pitches, what have you.
I think you've got 8 guys on opening day MLB rosters. What does it mean to you every year to kind of see that turnout, particularly this year, if you've been able to take some time to watch any games?
Well, I haven't seen any games. I guess they just started. I haven't seen any games, and I don't know if I will. But when I get the chance, I will, because we have it in the offices, and certainly have it at home now, so we can watch them late at night. But I'm just happy for them. I'm happy that they get to live out a dream and get to be in an occupation that is something that they did as little kids. We don't all get exposed to that. So they're very fortunate, but at the same time they've worked hard for that too. They've invested a lot of time and effort, and there's a reason why people get to that level. It's because they've invested well, and they've stayed very sound emotionally and mentally, and that has a lot to do with it.
Did you see the midweek performance and Mason Hickman's performance last week as tone setters for the 4-0 week?
They help. They really help with the harmony of your team. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's very difficult to play these weekend series, and then it's just as difficult to get your team ready to play on Tuesday and Wednesday. I say get us ready to play, and coaches included. I mean, there's quick preparation. These teams are very good, and in order to play well, you need someone who can set the tone on the mound. And if the tone's not set on the mound, the game can go in a myriad of different directions. So we've just been fortunate that Mason's been able to pitch as well as he has. But there again, he's pretty good. I mean, he's a guy that works at it too, and he's very sound. And he could be doing this on the weekend too. It just so happens, we've looked to try to get a 4-man staff, and he's been able to do that for us thus far.
You mentioned the right-handed pitching you've seen, at least starter-wise. You'll see it again this weekend. Is that something you guys expect to think about a ton moving forward with success against both?
No, you don't really think about it a ton because whether you see a starter or whether you get into the bullpen, in Tennessee's case, once they pull a starter, they don't dip. They go to a guy who is just as good as their starter, and that's when you look at Tennessee, I think you have to point to that in a lot of different ways. Is they're strong all over the field, but they're very strong from a pitching standpoint. and they've got an outstanding pitching coach too. Frank Anderson has been around a long time, and personally, I think the first time I ever met him was when I was at Clemson, and he was at Texas Tech, and so he's as good as there are out there. So you've got a guy with wisdom and experience coaching a very talented group. It just makes for a tough combination.
Do what you did against Florida after the A&M series, kind of be able to bounce back in such a dominant fashion.
Yeah, well, that certainly is a good bounce back feeling for the guys. I mean, they could tell they were hurting a little bit, after the Saturday situation or the middle game, but those things happen. They don't always go as planned, and we didn't really recover on that Sunday, and there was still a little bit of a sting, and I think that goes for all of us as well. But to come back and going back to what Max said, I think there was a tone set on Tuesday, and that's very helpful to build some momentum and positive energy moving into to the weekend, and that helped a lot. And we didn't have much time to think about it, to be honest with you. You got done on Sunday, and we're playing Tuesday, and then here we go again Thursday. This has kind of been the longest break in some time in terms of just 2 days before competition again. So it was a good bounce back, but it's all forgotten, and then you move forward with the next competition.
We'll start there playing Tennessee. Kind of, what's it mean to you this week?
I always see it as, every time playing baseball is fun, but playing against guys that you grew up with and went to high school with and everything, it adds a little bit more to it. I love competing in first place, but competing against those guys, it's just, and like I said, it adds a little bit more fun to it, and you can smile and stuff, even just like looking across the field and at each other and stuff like that. And, it's a lot of fun.
Do you get any ribbing from your own teammates about being from over there, or not so much?
Not really, because we have a lot of local guys, but I don't really know if we have any like UT fans growing up, so I don't get too much. Back home with some of the guys and stuff, especially when I committed here and stuff, like it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, why aren't you doing Tennessee? But it's all harmless, so you gotta love it.
How impressive has your offense been this past week, putting up these numbers?
Really impressive. As you know, Florida's pitching staff's always one of the best ones, and they got some good arms, and their starting rotation's really good, as it always is. And we were just on it. We have a really dangerous lineup, and when we're clicking, it's probably one of the best ones in the nation. Of course, there's going to be struggles, but it's not one of the lineups that will struggle for long if they do.